you have to internally decide what kind of person you are, right? So would you want to do theoretical work, uh, or would you want to do say laboratory related things, or would you want to do a mix of these two things? So that is one thing which is very important to be clear. After that, topic doesn't matter too much. It's basically your analytics of mind, that how deeper you want to go in a particular area. So even if you are analytical, this concept called mind mapping. If you put a problem, then you go on expanding the branches, and then see which one is making more sense with respect to your capability, with respect to the resources that you have. Particularly when we talk about PhD, you can't be having a problem for which there are no facility in the institute or university where you are working. And the third one, also the guide that you intend to work, the overall domain of that guide. So you keep limiting your thing, and then you say these are my possible 4 or 5 options which are looking like I can go into. From my point of view, I'm not saying that that is wrong. If somebody is going deeper into a theoretical problem, because that is also a problem solving attitude. But from engineering side, I always say that try to solve a problem which is real life, because your excitement of doing PhD will be very high. I'll divide this question into two parts. One is, of course, how do you manage researchers and junior research staff? So they, of course, are a set of people who would be willing to do certain things based on examples that you set it. So if you are reading, if you are sharing good ideas, you are having discussion with them, so they feel inspired and they'll actually exceed their limit of work on their own. Just if you are not sincere and if you are not working and you say you do this, bring it in 2 days and 2 hours, doesn't get reflected in their own working. So that was one way I was very successful in inspiring people who work with me.
Through
That
example.
I work through example, meaning I work hard. So if they have given me something to review, I'll make sure that I do it in the time that is expected. Not because I'm senior, I'll take a lot of time. So that was one. Administration is something which is very difficult to say. So it's when you grow, when there is a bonding, there is a system in place, there is a structure in place, people work absolutely no problem. But then there is a rule called 40-60 in government institution. It can be reverse also. There are a lot of people who are not wanting to work. Probably they have been taught not to work, or they are more busy doing something else. So in those cases, those it's very daunting. But at least those who are working, you should talk to them nicely, because you can't give them any extra benefit as such. But if you talk to them nicely and be friendly, uh, those who are working type, they'll do much more than what is expected of them. That is the way to do it. The other set of people who are not wanting to work, you can spend a lot of time with them, and I'm not very confident that you can succeed most of the time. You may succeed once in a while, but not always. The second part is connected with how do you deal with people outside your organization, and that's very critical, because it's not only limited to how you are perceived outside, but your organization is perceived outside. So the general method of connecting with outside people is, you must get their information well in advance, what is expected of them, and create scenario of anything and everything which is possible to be discussed. So in some cases it could be that you are dealing with ministry certain problems, and you are meeting with politician for certain aspects of a problem. So their way of thinking is something which one has to anticipate and keep information ready. So prior preparation is very essential to do it. The one thing which I normally advise and which I practice, which a lot of people in hierarchy they don't do that. In every meeting, they expect that someone junior enough will be there to answer. So they take 1 or 2 people along with them in this meeting. But I believe if you are a leader, you must be having all the information and details with you, so that you can answer each and everything on your own. You may use your colleagues, but not always. It should not be dependent on them, particularly when you are dealing with higher level people. The conflict management is more to do with the people who are under conflict, right? So it's their temperament, their thinking, and the way they come to you, that way. So the easiest one is where both parties, you know them personally very well. You ask them, look, this is in a larger interest that you need to, look at the
Resolve it.
and then it gets solved. There are some places where one has to be little tricky, in the sense that look, somebody who is probably not getting the benefits. Supposing there is only one position and there are two colleagues who are both of them close and good, and they are under conflict and they fight and they come to you. So that's the way. That's the time when one has to take one colleague aside and say, look, your view will also come in. Wait for some time. It's not always 1 + 1 is 2. Sometime it can be 1 + 1 is 3. So that talking out offline is one way to solve conflict. The other one is I've seen many times the conflict happens because all the information is not in place, particularly on the rules and regulations. And there are some people who want to take advantage. So those are the places where one has to get all the rules, regulations, places, and read yourself. Don't depend on one person. So only when you have all the facts and figures in place, it can be resolved very well. And I've seen people do this manipulation. Information is half given, twisted and given. Out of 4 rules, they'll only tell you one. Other 3 they will not be telling you. So I have been largely successful. I'll not say 100% all the time. So I'll answer this whole thing into 2 parts. One is when people are coming for their PhD and for research positions and all that. So that is the time when you should, because there are multiple people there, right? There are other people also who are in the interview committee. So one should be very good in the basics. Leave everything else, but basic fundamentals should be in place. There's no compromise on that if you're going for such kind of interviews. That is one. Second thing, you should look excited, thinking that you really want to do research. There are after a few questions, sometimes you can figure it out that the person is not interested, only because there is so and so is trying something else in between. There is nothing to do, so therefore why not apply for research also? So you can figure that out in the interview. So I think it's very important that you communicate that sincerity, that you really want to do research and you are interested. Not by way of words, but also by way of giving an example. Why are you interested in a particular topic? Whether you do research in that topic or not, that's a very different thing altogether. When it comes to permanent position where people come for employment, because already CVs are known, a little bit of background of the person is known. There are some references given, which is also known about the person. Now in that interview which you give, where sometimes they ask you to give a presentation of 5 minutes or 10 minutes, it's very important that you highlight what is your main strength as a person, and also what is your research area which was very great in your own opinion, that you highlight. And if they have asked you to do it in 10 minutes, you must not exceed 10 minutes. It's a big put off, I can tell you. If it's 10 minutes, you should finish in 8 minutes, 8.5 minutes, 9 minutes, but it should not become 10.5 minutes at any time. So I think that is the basic principle. And after that, I've seen many time people say that, I did this work here and I did postdoc here and I did this. Now I want to settle. That's a very bad answer. What is important to say is, if I come to your institute, these are the areas of work that I want to do. In my opinion, it is an exciting area to work. If you think also it's an exciting and good topics to work on, I'll be very keen. I think that is where one should leave, because interview is only to see your temperament. Interview is not to see your academic excellence, which you have anyway communicated in your CV. It can be seen. And sometimes people do refer to the CV also and ask some questions. But if you have worked in those areas, like your papers, you have written it yourself, you will be able to answer. But supposing you are co-author of some papers where you are not really working, then you can be in trouble. So in CV, those papers should not be cited, and one should not talk about it, which I have seen many people do just for the sake
Mm-hmm.
of increasing number of papers or like that. Writing paper, it should not start with the objective that I have to write a paper. It
Yeah,
should
yeah.
start with what work that I've done, and
Mm-hmm.
how do I now write in a way that it communicates
Mm-hmm.
to the people who are reading it. So in my opinion, the if we do a set of work, we should know that we have completed part A, B, and C. Now it is looking like it is a complete set of work, and then therefore we should write a paper. I think that is how it should go. The there are some people who also use certain tricks of using it, in the sense they know what kind of topic goes in which journal, what should be the length of the paper, in which style it is written. So those are something which one has to actually watch carefully and also learn from multiple colleagues to do that. The trend which has changed over a period of time, which I see it now, that even normal observation papers where you are doing monitoring and those papers, people are looking at what, I mean, that's something anyone can do. I can do monitor, put data, and then that's it. But people are looking at inferences, which will require different techniques to be applied to the same set of data, which will give you different information. And that's the trick. What is the novelty that you're bringing in the paper? So it's almost like whenever we select a novel and we read something at the back of the paperback novel, and those one paragraph looks like very interesting, and therefore you buy.
Mm-hmm.
Besides, of course, when you know the author, you of course buy. So it's the same thing as for paper. That if I cannot write a good abstract, which is exciting enough, my paper is not going progressing well. So I would say that work more on writing a good abstract, which will encompass almost
Mm-hmm.
everything that you want to put it in the paper. And
Very,
normally I've seen if a good abstract gets written, a paper also comes out to paper.